Let's go, folks. Time for the Gibby Show.
How you doing, baseball fans, and welcome to another edition of the Gibby Show presented by Miller Lite, the official beer of Major League Baseball and the Gibby Show. I'm John Arizzi, and joining me, the two-time manager of the Toronto Blue Jays, a member of the 1986 world champion New York Mets, #1 best-selling author, the voice of Gibby, Tales of a Baseball Lifer, the new audiobook that's available everywhere. He's back from Toronto and back into the hot summer heat of San Antonio and chasing snakes, from what I understand. The man who always tells it like it is, the baseball lifer himself, John Gibbons. Gibby, how's everything in San Antonio? Have you had a couple of adventures since you've been back?
Oh, gosh. You know what? I don't know. Yeah, there's just, I live kind of out in the woods a little bit. It's kind of a neighborhood out in the woods. And I'm surprised I haven't seen more snakes than I have actually have them. I said that to my wife not too long ago. And sure enough, the guy behind me, lives right behind me, sent me this video. He goes, "Hey, look what I almost stepped on today." I'm going, "You got to be kidding me, man." Because, sometimes, you're out there in dark when it's dark out and it's like, dang. So South Texas, you know what? There's as much as we love it down here, we say we love it, there's a lot of things that make you want to move.
What kind of snake was it? Because you did post something up on your social media. I mean, there was somebody that was brought out to get this thing. What was it?
Yeah, it was a diamondback rattlesnake. Big old boy, too. Oh, yeah. And it would have done some damage,
Yeah, you don't want
I told the guy, once you try mowing the grass in your backyard, they may not hang around there. So anyway.
Keep Waylon and Willie away from them rattlesnakes, will you?
Well, it's good to be back. I tell you, I had a tremendous time up in Toronto. Great ceremony, obviously. We talked about that before. And I don't think they have snakes up there, though. Not like that.
No, I'm sure they don't. But it was another hot week in baseball. The pennant race is heating up, and each game becomes more important for the teams chasing their chances at postseason play. That, of course, includes the Blue Jays, who stumbled a bit in the standings and are now neck and neck with Seattle and Houston. If you take a look at that in that last wildcard spot and that second wildcard spot, it's really heating up. So we're going to go into all of that on today's show. We have a great Gabbin with Gibby, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Exciting one. Jays rookie sensation Davis Schneider will join us, and inspired by Miller Lite, we'll have our weekly roast and toast. So, Gibby, let's get right into the leadoff. The Jays lost their lead in the AL East wildcard race this week, as Seattle has not lost a game since our last taping. They've won 6 in a row, and they sweep Houston. So the Jays were 3-2 with a couple of off days, splitting the series with the Phillies, winning 2 or 3 from Cincinnati. And it's over the next 2 weeks. These teams are out there battling. Toronto goes to Baltimore, then they play Cleveland, and then their schedule softens up a little bit. But when you're looking at this point at the season, and the first question I got is this: scoreboard watching is prevalent right now at this time of the season. Do teams take notice of not just what's going on day to day, but do they kind of look at what's going on in the next week or so when you're looking at a schedule? And did you do that when you were managing as well?
Oh, you betcha. Some people say, I started looking at that scoreboard, from the get go. It's just kind of, when you're a baseball fan, you kind of look at there. You understand that what happens in April, it's too early to, although it could affect you in the end. But you just get caught up in what your teams you're competing against are doing, and but now it's on all the way, and everybody's watching. I guarantee the managers, they're looking up there to see what Seattle's doing, and Seattle's looking at see what the Blue Jays but it's really kind of the beginning of this week is kind of not crucial. Well, kind of crucial, but Boston's. The Blue Jays swept them, and they somehow hung around, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're good enough to do it, but I don't think they have the pitching, but they swing it. But they're down in Houston for 4, I believe it is, right? And they're and Houston's just got swept, like you said, by Seattle.
Yep.
So they're not locked into that place. They could disappear and they could get knocked out, right? And then of course the Blue Jays are playing in this year's nemesis, Baltimore. Yeah. They got a chance to do something. They need to beat them, put it that way. But then Seattle goes off to Chicago. There's no guaranteed wins, but they got the lightest bunch, But I find it hard to believe that Seattle's not going to maintain that pace. I would be very shocked. It's too difficult. Never say never, but somebody can pick up some ground. And naturally, when Houston's playing, Boston, and then somebody's going to lose ground. Even Toronto goes in there and knocks off Baltimore. Who knows? Tampa could sneak even closer to the division lead. So it's really beautiful. That's what's beautiful about baseball, man, and these wild cards.
Yeah, the way it's shaping up, it looks to be probably the most exciting September that we've seen in quite some time. Because if you look at the wild card, you have all the teams are really in contention for even that top spot. The Rays have a 5-game lead overall, but then it's the Astros and the Mariners and the Jays and the Red Sox, as you said. They just finished a sweep of the Yankees. The Yankees are finished. I mean, they've lost 8 in a row, first time since 1995. That franchise is sunk in the way they have. But this September is going to be very exciting because of all the new wild card setup. Last year was the first time, but this year, these races are even more tighter than they were last year, John.
Yeah, it's going to be a great finish. There's no doubt. But that's kind of what baseball envisioned. When they put all this wild card together. You look at the other sports. Hockey, basketball, and things like that. When more teams were getting in it, and it's like, wow, it did wonders for those sports, right? And the fan bases in baseball, for the longest time, unless you won your division, and then so a lot of teams were out of it so early. It's really they've achieved their goal there, and that's what drives up the interest.
Yeah, and attendance is up everywhere too. So it's not like anybody's not drawing. I mean, teams are drawing. People are enjoying the games, and it's going to be a wonderful finish to this season. But big news for the Jays this week too. Bichettes came back from his injury and picked up where he left off. It was really interesting, some of the comments that he made. He came back and he said he's coming back, that he wants the Jays to be fearless and play fearlessly. Is Bo now officially the team's leader and face of the franchise, John?
I don't know if he's the team leader. I think I got to believe there's a few of them in there. With Springer being one, Belt being another one, Bassett. Those Gosman, some of those veteran guys. They just seem like I have no idea. But to me, those guys are leaders themselves. But Bo's naturally the guy. He is. He's up there with Vladdy. The face of the franchise. Obviously he's having a better year than Vladdy, but that they're going to be. They should be a duo for a long time there, right? I like it that he comes out and says that.
A lot of confidence.
Yeah, that's good. I'll be honest with you, but when I watch the team play, it doesn't look like they panic or fear but he would know what's going on in that clubhouse, and I think it's good to see him step up. It is key that he's back, though. There's no doubt about it. And he's one of the best players in the league. So they dodged a bullet there with that knee injury.
Yeah, they did, absolutely. And the guy that they picked up as a backup is kind of insurance at the trade deadline from St. Louis, Paul DeJong, giving up a minor league prospect for DeJong, and a big move this week. They surprised a lot of people, and I'm going to ask you if it surprised you as well. They DFA'd DeJong. So after just 3 weeks, he's gone. Now, did that move surprise you in any way, John?
Yes, it definitely did. I figured, but I think it was a great move on the Blue Jays' part, because, most of the time what happens, I don't know how all the money, all that stuff lines up, but you acquire a guy, and if he's making decent money, it's hard to just eat that, especially that's just a reality of the game, right? But the key is our special guest today, Davis Schneider, has been very productive. And I tip my hat to the Blue Jays, the front office, for recognizing, hey, this guy can help us more than the other guy. And sometimes, you take the hit if money's involved because your team's better. That's all they want. Now, DeJong, then, if he played better, I mean, he didn't hit much. He's been a solid major league player, but you got to go with your best team right now. There's no doubt about it. And so, like I said, I salute them for keeping Davis. I guarantee you Davis, we'll ask him about it. But I guarantee he was a little bit nervous when he knew Bo was coming back because normally he would have been the odd man out in most situations. That's just the way the game works.
And the roster doesn't expand till September. So, that'll be an interesting topic to bring up with our guest coming up. You are listening to The Gibby Show, presented by our friends at Miller Lite. And as the official beer of the MLB, Miller Lite wants to send you to the World Series. For the month of August, visit your local Canadian brew house for a Miller Lite and enter for your chance to win a VIP experience to this year's World Series. All you got to do is visit www.millerlite.ca/2023 World Series contest for more information. Good luck and enjoy that Miller Lite.
Hey, that's going to be a big promotion, man. There's no doubt. You get a chance to go to the World Series. Are we eligible to?
No.
No, because they're our sponsor, we're not eligible. But
they did give you a T-shirt. You got a couple jackets. So, I mean, you got plenty
of people love their jackets, man.
Yeah, enter that contest. It's going to be a good one. You could go to the World Series.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
Finally, on the leadoff, the Alec Manoa saga continues. After being optioned the AAA Buffalo on August 11th, Manoah remains in Toronto. The Jays are trying to find the right time for him physically in terms of delivery, from what they're saying, and that will determine when he will pitch again. So it doesn't sound like he's even ready to get back on the mound, whether it's for Buffalo or Toronto. And with the Jays' current 5-man rotation excelling, does it sound like the Jays don't know exactly what to do with Manoah at this point, Gibby?
No, I don't think that's the case. But it is kind of strange, I figure, well, when they sent him down the other day, he goes there and he got his 3 days to report, and he goes and pitches and works his way back. But it sounds to me like maybe he's injured, or maybe he's hanging or something like that, because he usually maybe came to him and said, "Listen, this is what's going on," and then they can't send him down, right? But yeah, I think it's a little bit of a mystery to everybody, but they'll figure it out. But September's not too far away when they can expand rosters. That's why what makes it even more surprising, because he needs to be down somewhere. If he's healthy, pitching, maybe he can come back up and help him one way or the other. But a little bit odd. I think it probably caught everybody off guard. And the key is that you do the right thing for the kid and in the organization. Everybody plays a part in it, but you gotta do what's best for both worlds too. But I'm surprised by it.
Yeah, well, it's obviously you got to do what's right long term for Alec Manoa, and fortunately in this situation for the Jays, they got a solid 5-man rotation. I mean, with Ryu coming back and performing the way he has, they could take their time and have extra care when it comes to Manoa.
Yeah, he'll be back. There's no doubt about it. We talked to Pete Walker last year. He liked everything he's seen, and he's seen plenty of them.
Yeah.
This is gonna be one of those years he's just gonna want to wash it off and move on. But when he made the league look so easy last year, and professional baseball at the highest level is not that easy. No. And sometimes you get knocked down, and he's the kind of guy, he'll get up.
Yeah, it's not the first time it's happened. It won't be the last, but the long-term future of Alec Manoa is still very, very bright, and we just wish him the best and have him come back when he's ready to, and we'll take it from there. But that will wrap up the leadoff, Gibby, and now it's time for Gabbing with Gibby, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Have you tried the new Smokey Honey Bacon breakfast sandwiches from Tim's yet? Sweet and savory glaze, new double smoked bacon, and a freshly cracked Canadian egg. They're delicious. They're a twist on your breakfast faves. Try one at participating Tim Hortons restaurants in Canada for a limited time. And Gibby, I think you went to several locations in various parts of Canada to get your breakfast sandwiches while you were up there.
That's right. I had my first one out in Vancouver, and then I was in Toronto the other day, and I had one there. Really good. Well, I don't know why there's a limited supply of it. I figured that was a staple that'd be there forever. I hope it is.
Our friends at Tim Hortons always providing wonderful stuff for everyone out there.
Tremendous.
Today on Gabbing with Gibby, brought to you by Tim Hortons, we bring on one of the newest members of the Blue Jays who's already made a big impact on the team. He was the first player in Major League Baseball history to collect 9 hits and 2 homers in his first 3 games, a record that was held since 1901. Oh, and he hit a home run in his first at-bat in the majors. He also hit the game-winning home run this past Saturday against the Reds. It's a pleasure to bring on Davis Schneider to Gabbing with Gibby. Davis, nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey, Davis. Hey, I spent a lot of years in Toronto, and got to manage a bunch of, guys come and go. There's something different about you, man. You got a tremendous story. We're going to get into that a little bit here. It just really says a lot about you. And the fact that you took some time off, you guys don't get many off days. We appreciate you coming on here. And then,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and you head down to Baltimore, big series down there. It's like we like to say, nut cutting time. That time of the year where, you guys are right in the middle of all this, and it's the most exciting time of baseball. You agree?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is my first time kind of being into the wildcard race or trying to make the playoffs. But it's crunch time, middle of August, so every game matters. I mean, every game matters during the season, but this is where the big games are played. So you just gotta go out there and try to compete.
Hey, you talk about getting thrown into the fire. It's not like you're getting called up and the team's bad, and you're like below 5. You're getting thrown right into the pennant race, and you're stepping up. And that's not easy to do. I mean, it's I don't care how talented you are when you come up from the minor leagues for that first time, because I've witnessed it, different guys, right? It's not that easy, right? But obviously you're a very mature guy. A very mature player. There's no doubt about it. And you know what? You're the kind of guy, you obviously keep your emotions under control. You're able to focus. Not only did you, when you debut, you had that tremendous start, but you did it in Fenway Park, man. And that used to be my all-time favorite park to go to. But there's pressure there, man. There people are breathing on you. Describe that a little bit. When you got the call and they told you in AAA you were going up.
Yeah, I mean, my manager told me, he pulled me into his office. He kind of told me a little bit of story, just kind of throw me off the loop that I was going up. And when I got to Boston, I remember Pete Walker came out to me like before the game was even started, before my first game. And he was like, "We're all counting on you, so you better do good out here." Obviously he was joking, but it was just funny the way he said it. And I think everything leading up before the game was more nerve-wracking for me personally, like the media, like everything else. But like the actual game, when you step foot on the field and you're playing with those guys, they make it easier just to go out there and just try to win, because I played this game for 20 years, and once you step foot on the field, it's kind of just like not like clockwork, but you're just kind of used to it at that point. It's just like any other game. The ball, the bases are 90 feet, pitcher 60 feet away, so you're just used to it at that point. Obviously there's more fans and it's a little bit louder, but you kind of have to zone that out at some point.
Well, but you obviously you could tell you're prepared. We were watching that game, and I was thinking, gosh, this isn't an easy spot for this kid, right? But Petey and I are great friends. Pete Walker, that's the problem. Pete, I figured he'd be rubbing your shoulders, getting you relaxed. He's dying. He wants those runs for their pitchers. Those are his boys, man. He wants.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the way he said it. I was like, damn, I guess I got to do pretty well here, or I'm going back down. But it was just funny the way he told me before the game. Obviously, he was joking, but then he said that before game 2 and the game 3 in Boston. So like it kind of worked out those 3 games,
That's awesome. Johnny, what do you got for him, Johnny?
Well, after that first series against Boston, what a tremendous way to break into the game in the majors. Did you wake up on Monday and ask yourself, what in the heck just happened to me? And how do I top this?
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's going to hit me yet until after the season's done, where like everything's kind of calmed down and everything like that. But it's a pretty cool feeling, to go onto that plane ride, knowing what you did, sweeping Boston, making my first big league appearance. But those group of guys in the clubhouse, they make it easier to go out there. Like they're all relaxed, they want to win, and they kind of like accepted me, like from the start. They didn't really make me feel like
calling you
like
babe. They were calling you babe.
Yeah, Bell put that nickname on me. A lot of pressure, but they're just a fun group of guys. They make it easier to go out there and play just because they're just so relaxed. They like to have fun. They want to win. So when you combine those two things, it's a good ball club.
I heard a good story. I mean, after your debut on Friday, and you did so well, and then you get to the park, you get to Fenway on Saturday, and you take a look at the lineup card, and I guess you looked right at the bottom of the lineup card to see where you would be if you were in the game. So tell us what happened when you saw that lineup card and what your reaction was when you eventually saw where you were hitting that day.
Yeah, it was the third game where I was batting third. I think
third
it
game.
was Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Sunday, and they sent out the lineup the night before, and I was checking, and like the 9-hole, 7-hole, 8-hole. I was like, damn, I'm not playing. And then I didn't see my name on the position players for the game, and I was like, maybe I am, and maybe I'm batting like fifth. And then I saw my name batting third. And I saw Vladdy wasn't playing. I was like, damn, this is pretty crazy. And then I was like, oh, all right, I guess I got to do well today, So, but it was just funny because the first thing I looked at was like the 7 or 8 hole. Yeah. And I was like, I guess I'm not playing.
Yeah. Speaking of that type of stuff, I mean, do you actually know, do you sit down with Schneider to see, with John Schneider, does he sit down with you and say, all right, you'll be playing maybe X amount of games this week, or is it a day-to-day thing? What's that process like for you at this stage?
He sat me down the first game when I got there. He's kind of telling me what my role is. Like I'm primarily against lefties because we have 3, 4, or 5 guys in the lineup that are lefties. So like when there's a lefty throwing, maybe I'll spot start here and there. But I mean, whenever my name's called, I'm just going to be ready. Whether that's 3 games in a row, 1 game at 5, whatever it is, I'm always going to be prepared no matter what the situation is, whether it's a pinch hit or something like that. So, I mean, these are talented guys on this team. So there's a lot of, there's not that much room to, kind of wiggle with. So you just got to wait your turn and go out there and just try your best.
Absolutely.
Hey, I tell you one thing, you keep producing, big boy. There'll be plenty of opportunities. You're forcing me. But let's talk a little bit about your career, because I guess at one point, it wasn't too long ago, you were thinking about hanging him up. You were drafted in the, was it 28th round?
Yeah, 28th. Yep.
Okay. So that automatically tells you, you're looking for an opportunity, but you're not going to get anything handed to you, right? You're going to have to earn everything. Yeah. That's just the way the game works, right? Bottom line, you get to the big leagues and you reach your dreams and your goals. That's all that matters, is the opportunity. But I was looking over your statistics, and you know what? You didn't get many opportunities or many at bats in your early years in the minor leagues, really up until 21, or was it last year that you finally got a full slate of at bats. But every year, though, the big numbers that we look at in baseball now, the OPS, you're always above average and getting on base, right? And your slugging's always above average, but yet you weren't getting the at bats. And there came a time that you thought, I've had or is it writing on the wall? Is that what happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought I was good enough, or better than the guys that that were playing over me. And I'm not saying they weren't like good enough or anything like that, but I always thought I was talented enough to be playing over them and stuff like that. But guys sign for a lot of money, or just more money than me, so they got to be priority number one. Which is, yeah. I get it, just the way it is, just the way baseball is, and there's a lot of money in this game that they just got to play. And so, yeah, in 21, it was kind of the same situation. It was like my first full season. I always played short season, so it was only like 60 games, and 21 was my first full season. And there was just, especially after COVID, it was a lot of backed up. There's a lot of guys who kind of missed the season, and so there's a lot of guys that in high A in 21, and so I was playing once a week. And when I did get in there, I was not the best, especially the start. I went over and then would have to wait a week to play again, which kind of sucked mentally, going out there just saying, if I don't get a hit today, I'm not going to play, like that. So that kind of sucked. But I mean, yeah, it was probably middle of June. I was batting 100, and I was like, I think I'm done. I mean, I really don't see a future. I mean, I'm not playing every day. I don't think I'm a priority in this organization anymore. So I texted my buddy, and was telling him I might hang it up, and he was just like, dude, just stick it out. I mean, if I was there, I wouldn't matter if I was playing or not. I just wanted to be around those guys. And so that kind of just helped me just mentally just, all right, it's better than doing nothing. So I stuck it out, thankfully. And then next year I went back to high A, but they told me, just go back to high A, you're going to get more playing time. And I was okay with that. I just wanted to be playing every day. And, I had a good season last year, and then I went to AAA last year. And then this year I started out in AAA, and then, I did well. So baseball's a funny game. You can be at the lowest or you can be at the all-time high, but it always finds a way to even it out at some point.
Yeah, I think, you know what? Hey, that's admirable. The fact that, hey, I've been through a lot of that. Been in the minor leagues, the ups and downs. I couldn't stick in the big leagues, and when I got a chance, I wasn't very good. I didn't play very well. And there's been many a times that I thought, I've had enough of this, man. This is difficult. I got to my life's moving on. What am I going to do? And it finally got to the point I decided to shut it down. But you know what? Hey, I tip my hat to you, man. Because look at you. You got to where you want to be right now by sticking it out, and that's not easy. It really isn't, because a great baseball career is a short career in lifespan anyway.
Yeah.
So now I was also reading something about your approach at the plate. Right? Is that something that you started narrowing some things down? Is it? Because go ahead, tell me what without giving away state secrets.
I mean, well, everyone knows I struggle with the high fastball. I mean, that's just the way it is, just the way my swing works. And, I'm just a low ball hitter. Like, everyone has their holes, but
Right.
I know what I can do at the plate. I can pull the ball in the air effectively. Like, I'm not a ground ball guy. And so as a hitter, I'm looking for that one pitch I can really do damage on, unless I have two strikes. Like, so early in the count, I'm not trying to hit a single or a bloop or something like that. I'm trying to do damage, extra base hit, trying to hit something over the fence, something hard anywhere, basically. And so if it's not that pitch, I'm going to take it, whether it's a ball over or ball down or something like that. I'm very selective when it comes to early. And that's why I walk a lot, and why I kind of have not a lot of Ks, but I strike out occasionally, just because I'm very passive earlier in the count, just because I want to get that pitch where I can do damage on. And so, I mean, I believe I have a good eye at the plate. And so, I mean, and if you just combine those things, then good things happen, in my opinion. Just knowing what you can do as a hitter is very big at the plate, because I'm not a guy who can just shoot the ball the other way on command. Bo does that like it's clockwork. Like, he is amazing at that. And so I'm a guy who wants to try to hit the ball in the air, pull side. And so I just got to wait for that pitch, because the pitcher's going to make a mistake eventually. But if he doesn't, then he's got to tip your cap sometimes,
Introducing the new Smoky Honey Bacon breakfast sandwiches at Tim's. With a sweet and savory glaze made with 100% Canadian honey, new double smoked bacon, and a freshly cracked Canadian egg. Try a twist on your breakfast faves with our new Smoky Honey Bacon breakfast sandwiches at Tim's.
Hey, you know what, Davis? What I found, all good hitters and all the great hitters, the guys that play this game a long time, one thing they have in common: they go up there with a plan, right?
Yeah.
Because there's too many guys, and I was fit in this boat. You go up there trying to hit everything, right? And you're like, zone. That's impossible. There's no way you can do it. But you figured out your hole is up there in the zone, and that's kind of where the game was starting to go. That pitchers like to throw up there now. But you're smart enough, and you had the discipline to go, no, that's not what I'm going to wait on my pitch. And and then of course it ups your walks and everything like that. But the great ones all have a plan. Cito Gaston. Cito managed in the Blue Jays, and they won the World Series. He's also known as one of the best hitting guys around, right? He started out as a hitting coach in Toronto. But we were both at that ceremony for Batista over the weekend, and we were talking while the game was going on. We were sitting up in one of the press boxes, and it's funny. He brought up. We were talking about some of the great players he had, and he said the first thing he would always ask him is, "What do you want to hit?" And some of them, they didn't have an answer, right? And then some of them did, and that's kind of where he would start. He said, "You're not going to hit them all. Try to narrow it in, figure out what you want." And it's amazing. Then when I saw that your story on, say, for a young kid, you're very advanced, and that's the key right here. Would you not say the mind is everything in hitting? You
yeah,
agree?
for sure. I mean, Belt sat me down the day I hit the homer, and he was like, I love your approach. Just keep it. Don't change anything. Your approach works here. And that kind of just put more confidence in me to like, okay, I can compete here. I belong here. And so when he said that to me, I was like, all right. I mean, that's a boost of confidence right there because he's been one of the best hitters. He played this game for a long time. He knows what he does in his game that works very well. So having him tell me that was kind of a boost of confidence, you know.
And he's like the Belty. He's a winning player, winning type player. You know, he those you know, there's a difference. Some guys are just players that win. You know, some are just you know what I mean. So Johnny, what else you got? We can't keep it too long, man. He's spending his off day with us.
Nah, don't worry about it. I mean, my parents are doing anyway.
Up in the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to talk to him about. I mean, you grew up in South Jersey, attended Eastern Regional High School, I guess in Voorhees Township.
Yep.
So I was going to ask you, who'd you root for growing up?
I was a big time Phillies fan. I wasn't a diehard. You know, I was more of a baseball fan. I mean, I just like players. I mean, I grew up a Mike Trout fan. He's from like 25 minutes from me, so he was my favorite player growing up. You know, watching him, a South Jersey guy, kind of do his own thing in the MLB, it was kind of inspiring. But you know, I was a Phillies fan. I liked Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Brian Howard, Roy Halladay, all those guys. You know, that was a good ball club to root for. So I mean, I kind of got lucky because those were a lot of good players on the Phillies back then. You know.
Well, I mean, there's some great teams, and of course, you know, the Phillies have been just so competitive every year, and they always surprise you. And look what they did last year. But now, now it would be an interesting World Series if you guys would face the Phillies this year in the World Series. That would be a good matchup. That would be pretty. I know
a lot of my buddies said that. They're like, "Who am I going to root for?" I mean, they want me to do well or the Phillies to win. So like they were just saying, obviously they want the Phillies to win, but they're like, oh, it's going to be a tough thing to root for now.
Well, it's going to be an exciting end of the season. I mean, you're in the thick of a pennant race, and can you just kind of talk about, now that you're in the thick of things, some of the guys that you've gotten close to in the majors over the last month? You know, who's kind of mentoring you? You mentioned Belt, of course, but what is that sense of a guy like a young guy getting into this and seeing this pageantry? You were there for the Batista ceremony. So what's this first month in the big leagues been for you?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I mean, all these guys that are on this team now, I mean, they're veterans. They had crazy good careers. I mean, Witt, Belt, Bassett, Gosman, all these guys. I mean, they've been around the game a long time, so they have a lot of knowledge to kind of give out. So I mean, I pick their brains. I try not to ask too many questions to them because they probably are just kind of sick of it. But you know, everyone's kind of been nice to me. As soon as I got there, you know, they all congratulated me. But once I got there, you know, they kind of just made me feel part of the team right away, which is great because, you know, I was very nervous. I was new. And so having that kind of made me feel a little bit more calm. And so, I mean, Witt, Bassett, all those guys, like I said, I pick their brains kind of almost every day. And, you know, they know a lot of knowledge of the game. And so it's a very good team to be around just because they have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I got one last thing. Obviously, there's a lot of belief in you from the front office on down, and it really was evident this past week. I mean, the Jays signed Paul DeJong as backup for Bo, and Bo was out with the injury, and they had a decision to make this week. What do you do? And DeJong was DFA'd. So, I mean, do you have any thoughts or that you could have been sent down, but he was the one that was DFA'd? I mean, that's a lot of belief in what you're doing and what you can do for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I thought I was going to be the one sent down, you know, just because I was the new guy, you know, last man in, first man out kind of type of deal. And so, which I get, if that happened, I get it, just because, you know, I was, like I said, I was the new guy. So, you know, they just got to make what the best decision for the team is. So, I mean, it was kind of not, what was the word? It was kind of relief at that point when that happened, just because, okay, now, all right, now I can kind of not worry about it. Obviously, you know, they can still make moves and stuff like that. They can call people up, send people down. But, you know, having that happen was kind of a, you know, load off my shoulders a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But
Davis,
like I
tell you
thought
what,
it was me at that point.
yeah. But the key, hey, if you weren't being productive, I guarantee it would have been you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but bottom line, but that's, you know, that's what this game's and going on to have a nice career. It's like, you know what, you get the opportunity, then you got to do something with it. And I'll tell you what, the role you're filling now is not easy. And you're, you know, cause you played all 3 games right out the bat. Right. And then now, you know, you're going to be like, you're going to get the lefties and all that. And obviously there's not as many lefties as righties. But so that's not an easy role, especially for a young kid. But you just listening to you can tell you can handle that, and you're going to take advantage of it. Heck, big home run the other night to win in the difference making run in Cincinnati like that. Wow, you know what I guarantee you, they just couldn't send you down. There's no way they could have, because you're helping them win, and that's the bottom line. Because this is, you know, you're not rebuilding, you're not hoping you win. This team's expected to win, and you've done a tremendous job. And you fit in perfectly with that group, right? You know, and the nice thing is they've all been in where you've been, right? It's not easy coming up, and then once you get there and you're trying like heck to be a part of it and contribute and all that, and you've done that, and it's fun to watch, you know. And you look like that old throwback type player, you know. You ever heard of Phil Garner or Tim Foley?
I've heard of Tim Foley, yeah.
Yeah, those little Pittsburgh Pirates, man. They wore the mustaches, and Foley's nickname was Crazy Horse. Phil Garner's was Scrap Iron, man. And they both middle infielders. That's the day. There he is, man, right there.
Yeah, you got to do whatever you got to do to try to go out there and win, you know. And I'm kind of like an old school guy. I don't need that much when it comes to, like, you know, a new glove, cleats and stuff like that, you know, just because why do you need all that stuff? I mean, that's not going to help you compete, you know, like that. Yeah.
The glove. The glove. Tell us about the glove and how you got that glove that you use.
Yeah. So the place where I train out back home, about 5 minutes from me, I found it in the back in the lost and found. So technically I stole it, if you will. I mean, it was just back there for about a year and a half. So I was like, all right, no one's going to pick it up. And I like the way it looked. I like that old school look. And that's the way I break in gloves anyway, like the old floppy look. And so I just took it and I started using it last year during the season, and I liked it. And then my agent was like, oh, do you need a new glove or anything? I'm like, no, I mean, this works. As long as it closes and catches the ball, I feel like that's all you really need. You know what I mean? As long as it catches it and you don't make any errors, then what's the big deal? But yeah, I just found it, and then it said VUK on it, and I thought that was just someone's initials or something like that, like a dad left it. But then Hazel May tweeted out a picture of it because Whit was gonna get on me for it. He was like, you use this glove? I was like, yeah. And then Hazel tweeted out a picture, and then John Vukic's son tweeted out, yeah, that was my dad's glove when he played for the Phillies. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense now. And then the owner of the facility texted me that night and was like, yeah, that's Vukovic's glove. I forgot to tell you. And it was just like a funny story how it all connected. And John Schneider's roommate was Vuk's son. So
wow,
it was kind of pretty cool.
Hey, that shows you some things were meant to be. You know, when all those things line up like that, hey, Davis, certain things are meant to be. You know, you're meant to be in the big leagues, you know, and you know, you ran through that tough times in the minor leagues. Is this really for me? But you knew deep down inside it is, right? And nobody's giving anything to you. You know, nobody ever will, you know, and that's the thing about the big leagues. But you know what? You're doing a heck of a job with these guys. You've helped them win some big games. You're going to continue to do that. So we appreciate you taking some time to come and join us. We're big fans. So keep up the great work and say hello to everybody. And you tell Pete Walker, hey, Pete, you just take care of the pitching. Don't you worry about me.
He said that to me. Actually, yesterday's game, I was on the bench, but he was like, all right, big day for you. Just in case you get up, we're all counting on you. And it's like he's just been doing it the whole time, which is funny. And at this point, it's kind of a joke now, but you know, it puts confidence in me more. So like, there's a lot of good guys around this club. So
yeah, it really is. Yeah. Well, listen, hey, best of luck. Keep up the good work, man. You know what?
Appreciate it.
All right, pal.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank
you. that wraps up another Gabbing with Gibby. And wow, I mean, what a great kid. What a great kid Davis is.
Yeah, you know what, John? He's very mature. You know, he's got it figured out. You know, he was a 28th round pick, so yeah, he's going to get an opportunity, but he's not going to get what most guys get, right? The higher picks. And then he got to that point in his career where was this even worth it? Am I going to get that shot? But he made the right decision. But you can just listen to him talk. He's got it figured out.
Yeah.
You know, and he got to the big leagues, and he's being productive. Now he's getting thrown into a tough role too. You know, that part-time player, mainly focusing facing the left-handed pitchers.
Yep. So
that's not easy. Usually those roles are saved for those seasoned veteran guys that just hit lefties their whole career, right? But he's level-headed. He's tough. He's from Jersey boy, man. You know he's tough. You know he's
South
like a boss.
Jersey,
right?
South Jersey guy, and old school. He just reminds me of an old school guy. He really does.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's funny because in the way he played the middle infield, you'd expect him to be like them old timers, man, where they go in second base or they get knocked down by those the base runners and all that. But the guy he mentioned, Chase Utley, one of his favorites there with the Phillies. Yeah. Heck, Chase Utley ruined it for all them old time players, man. They got the Chase Utley rule when he hit the So anyway,
I remember that very well.
Against, that's right. The ball ends.
Yeah, Ruben Tejada. That was not pretty. But anyway, Gibby, inspired by our friends at Miller Lite, it is going to be time for this week's roast and toast. I know you always talk about not having, the most long career as far as a player goes, but you did have your first hit, and I think it was against the Expos. Did you keep that first hit, the ball from your first hit in the majors?
Yes, I did, but I got to tell you, I'm not so sure I know where it is now. I better remember, Johnny. There weren't many of those hits that came, but that's the, you get to the big leagues. That's your first goal. I got to get when I get to the big. Now I got to get my first knock if you're a position player, right?
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And he had that crazy thing that happened in St. Louis, but it's kind of like say, here's your trophy. I've made it. And, everybody on the field, even the teams you're playing against, everybody celebrates it because, every one of those guys was there one time too.
Yeah, well, it happened in St. Louis. I mean, obviously, when a player reaches the majors, it's a big deal. You want that baseball. This past Friday, the Cardinals brought up their top prospect, Mason Wynn, made his major league debut, his second at bat. He rolls one, a little chopper down to third base. He beats it out. He gets his first major league hit. New York Mets first baseman Pete Alonso, when told by the umpire that the ball was coming out of play, he promptly flung it into the crowd. I mean, he wailed. He just launched it into the crowd, and immediately everybody got on him. The ball players, the St. Louis Cardinals in the dugout, especially the pitcher Miles Michaelis, they were screaming at him. The fans were booing like crazy, and here's a kid standing at first base is like he didn't know what was going on. So anyway, I mean that incensed many of the players, the fans. They got on Alonso's case. Wynn eventually got the ball. They had to send security to find it, and some young lady had got it and caught it, and she had a hard bargain negotiating autograph ball, autograph bat, autograph cap, and eventually he got the ball back. And for the blunder, we got to roast New York Mets first baseman Pete Alonso, who tried to make good on it because the next day he brought Wynn a bottle of 1942 tequila and a personally autographed Pete Alonso bat. But we still have to roast him.
So he's assuming the kid wants Pete Alonso's autograph on a bat, I guess.
Yeah, I found that a little odd.
Hey, you know what? Hey, if they do you in St. Louis for anything, something's wrong. You know what? A home team or visiting team. So But that's kind of a ritual. They get the ball and they throw it out. And he obviously wasn't aware of it. Or either that or New York has just really rubbed off on him. And now he's a true New Yorker, right?
Hope that's not the case with Pete. Honest mistake, but it got a lot of press and a lot of people were very incensed over it. But hey, listen, he got the ball. That's all that counts. He got his first major league knock, and he gets the ball to give to his mama. So that's kind of cool. But we got somebody to toast this week, and I tell you, what a performance this week by Mariners' Julio Rodriguez, who broke a major league record set in 1925 by Milt Stock of the Brooklyn Robins. What did J-Rod do to break this record? He went 17 for 22 last week, 4 for 6 Wednesday with a double, 2 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 5 for 5 Thursday, home run, double, 5 RBIs. Friday, 4 for 5, homer, RBI, 2 stolen bases. Finished up the tear on Saturday, 4 for 6. For this, John, I guess you have to agree with me on this one too. Julio Rodriguez gets the toast of the week. What a week.
Oh, gosh. What a month. That was I tell you what, for crying out loud, though, where's Chapman getting on the manager? Why are you pitching these guys? They just kept coming at him. If there's ever a time a guy's, wearing you out. No, I tell you what, he made it look easy, but we all know how difficult that is, right? Yeah. But he's one of the top players in the game. Got off to a slow start. The Blue Jays fans are well aware of him, right? Because he's Seattle Mariners. They got that little thing going, but he's finishing strong. He's the key guy. They got tremendous pitch in Seattle. They got a solid lineup. But they're going to, the teams now, I'm sure, are going to, if they're smart, they'll start being aware of where he's in the lineup, and he's a guy that you might try to stay away from if you can, But yeah, that's that record will last a while, I think.
Yeah, that was an amazing week for Julio Rodriguez.
Corner booths, sticky floors, weekdays that feel like weekends. You never forget the way some things taste. Miller Lite, great taste, 90 calories. Tastes like Miller time.
We'll have another roast and toast inspired by our friends at Miller Lite here next week. And Gibby, that'll wrap up this week's edition of the Gibby Show. For John Gibbons, this is John Arezzi. We'll talk more baseball with you next week right here. Have a great week, everybody, and go Blue Jays.